So, Johnny, I'm going to give you something else that you may be jealous over. Stewart and I we're contemplating having an Whatnot auction with some ephemera.
As long as you guys don't go to lunch.
Lunch will probably happen.
Then the FOMO will really kick in.
You can come over and we can do some kind of auction together.
You can bring in another person, right?
Yeah, if you're just bringing, like if I was just bringing Wes on as a guest, yeah, you can do that. So.
I think Johnny's saying if I'm over at your house with you, then we could bring him.
Yeah, like if it was me. Stewart clearly not interested.
Oh, wait. No, that's technically not possible, Johnny. Sorry.
Oh, can't do it.
I got what you were saying, Johnny. I understand.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Wes can come over and bring Johnny on, and we will have a Finders, Flippers, Resell podcast Whatnot show. Wes's weekly trial is trying to get the logo off the screen. Hey, Wes, you're looking like the real Slim Flipper tonight.
Do I now?
Yeah, I feel like this is more of an intervention than anything.
I've had a rough day today, buddy.
Ephemera.
Oh, no, you got into that?
I didn't get into it. I got robbed today.
A root and haggle sale.
And I've been there a total of 3 minutes, and I spot a marriage license from 1912. He takes it out of my hands, sticks it in his bag, and turns and walks out to the next room. And I'm sitting there going,
"Looked a lot like this." Come on in a little closer, Wes.
Yeah.
You ain't seen.
I think you have a seed in there.
I do.
This reselling doesn't work out.
Oh,
puppet shows. So
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of hope it fails. I want to see this.
Hey, Wes. Hey, Johnny.
I'm a sucker for a good puppet show. This is exciting. I would like you to put a bit together for next week.
We also have an exciting guest coming up next week. Y'all both just have these blank stares on your face.
I'm like, we do? So excited.
Yeah, Johnny, you're always the last to know. I mean, we're in such demand now.
I'm not ready to be famous yet.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Finders Flippers Resell podcast. Again, I'm with Johnny and Stewart. Gentlemen, how you doing this evening?
Good.
What's going on, Wes? Guys, special shout out. We are closing in on 100 subscribers. We appreciate everybody who has joined, but we have a little treat for you. Once we hit 100 subscribers, we're going live. We are going to do a live show. So if you want to interact with us, you just subscribe, get us to 100, and we'll see you guys live.
Let's see, on the 23rd day of October in the year of our Lord 1912 at Metropolis at the county courthouse, W.T. Liggett. Hubert Fitzpatrick, maybe? And he married Bertha Ward.
The Titanic sank that year too, right? 1912?
Yeah, but that was April.
So just about, 5 months past that, they got married?
Good thing they didn't get married earlier and go on their honeymoon on the Titanic.
Yeah.
Or get married on the Titanic, for that matter.
I'm glad World War I nor the Titanic sinking could keep them apart. That's good.
Hey, Wes, did you make a purchase from my Etsy shop right before the show started?
I did not, no.
I figured it was you. I sold this referee's whistle.
Oh.
I mean, literally right before the show started, I thought Wes may have needed a new whistle.
Funny enough, my mom, for years, we were out in the neighborhood. When she blew that whistle, we had 5 minutes to get home because she had supper on the table. So
she had a whistle. Our mom just yelled. Her voice carried.
I guess that's why I grew up and became an official. You know, I heard it all my life. So
yeah,
I give Mom all the credit.
So, Wes, can you like whistle with your fingers?
No.
Stewart, you can.
I actually can. I don't have to use my fingers, but I'm not going to do it.
So Stewart, let's quickly jump into
the root and haggle.
Yeah, let's dive right into
some people might say the root and haggle.
So let's talk about the root and haggle that we went to today over in North Knoxville. You had sent me the information, so we got together and met. And what time did it start, and what time did you get there? Because by the time I got to you, you already had a full bag of stuff.
Yeah, so I think it started at 8:30, and I got there about 8:45. So my appointment was technically not till 9, but he let me go on in. And then I said, yeah, just look for a real tall dude named Wes, and he's with me. So I guess he passed you on through. You got there around 9, didn't you?
It was about 8:55, yeah. somewhere around
Yeah,
there.
and so just a little background. This was the second round at this house of what they called a root and haggle sale, which just meant they didn't price anything. I mean, this house, it was pretty full today, Wes, right? You should have seen this thing a month ago when the first round happened. You literally couldn't hardly walk through it. And I definitely got more the first time, but I got 2 bags here, and I'll show a couple of the things here in a minute. But yeah, so, you got your bags, and when I checked out, they just kind of looked at it, threw a price at me. I countered with the price, and they took it. And
I'm interested in what he priced it to you at.
So I got everything in these 2 bags for $50, which I feel,
2 bags for $50.
yeah, which I feel, I'll probably at least triple my money, if not a little more. But yeah, I got some really neat things. I found this. This isn't as old as I thought, though. It's just from 1985, but it's still pretty cool. A Donald Duck Disney squeaky toy. And then, do y'all remember?
What about the ghost that you picked up?
Yeah, you remember who that is?
Casper.
Is that a little Casper?
I think it's Casper.
Is that like a Pizza Hut toy?
I don't know. It looks like it went on the top of something.
Did you ever figure out what was coming out of it?
No, but it's still coming out. It's like, I think it may have been their stash.
Yeah, Johnny, we were standing there, and this stuff just feels
I hope that's a ghost
down on the wood floor.
Yeah, it looks like leaves and stems of some sort. I don't.
It's whatever was in that beanie bag.
Just this slide rule here. I've done really well with slide rules, and it was like still in the leather case, still has the instructions, and a lot of times I find them without the instructions. Yeah, if you ever find slide rules, they usually sell really quick, especially if you can find them with the original leather case and stuff. And it's in reasonably good shape. Not sure which brand it is. Yeah, that's definitely a Bolo. See what else is in here? Like, this is one of those cool kind of things I always look for. Like, there was this filing cabinet. When you left, I was out in the garage, and I have no idea if there's anything good in here, but it was just like a wallet with just letters and pictures. So I ain't even gone through this stuff yet. So maybe there'll be something cool in there.
Is that something you would sell online or in your booth?
Probably on Whatnot. This would be part of a Whatnot show. So this is from 1964 is when this letter's from.
I want to take my Life magazines and cut them out carefully. Unless you and I have a Whatnot show of ephemera.
All right, we can try. Then just some different maps and stuff. They're not necessarily old, but I kind of figured like any of this kind of stuff I threw in there was not going to affect the price. So any of this kind of little stuff I found, I just threw it in, and I figured they were only going to look at the bigger stuff is what they kind of did. So there's a pocket Bible encyclopedia. Like, here's some movie. Have y'all ever heard of this movie? Men with Guns?
No.
But it's like the press, the press photos that they would send out for the movie.
That's cool.
It had I think it's a Sony Pictures. This is 1997, I think. And I've never heard. It looks like it may have been either a Spanish or a Mexican movie. But anyway, I thought they were cool. I've sold movie promos quite a bit, but usually they're for movies you heard of. But
I like that you guys are just regular old thrifting chums now. I like this.
Yeah, this is twice in 1 week that Wes and I have seen each other. Then like in the bottom of the box there are all these little like toys. There was a Sunbeam mixer, a Sunbeam toaster. I thought those were kind of cool. And the toaster has some toast. It must be in the bottom of the bag. So all this like fake wooden fruit. There's avocados and bananas. I've had really good luck with fake fruit or fake vegetables. Those kind of things they typically sell pretty well. So
I'm curious, Stewart. The guy that priced you, was he the white-haired guy at the tent?
Yeah, he's the owner, Will.
Ah,
So
makes sense.
And then I got like three of these like, Asian scrolls. I don't know exactly what they are. It's some kind of artwork, but they're really big.
Well, I had two things, Johnny. I had a little Tonka truck, and Stewart, if you remember, I picked up that little Coke box thing.
Yeah.
So I looked. I kind of knew the Coke box, what they were maybe going for, but the Tonka truck, I looked it up. It was probably like $12 or so online.
Yeah.
I get up there to him. He goes, "Oh, got a Coke guy here," and I was like, "No, not really. Just trying to grab stuff." I said, "What do you got on this?" He goes, $25.
Yeah, that's high for that.
I said, "For just these two items right here?" He said, "Oh, you're one of those." He goes, "Okay, $50." He told me $50. I said, "I'm one of those. What do you mean by that?" He just kind of looked at me. I said, "I tell you what, $10. Take it off your hands." He goes, "Oh no, you're way too low." I said, "Have a good day." I left it sitting there.
Yeah. Oh well.
So, but I mean, that's the way it goes sometimes. That's just part of it.
Maybe if you were the China King of Knoxville, you could get some deals, but you're just Wes.
I'm a regular.
Stewart's a regular, and that's why I was curious what he priced you. He priced you 2 bags full of stuff for $50. He priced 2 things to me, $25 and then $50.
You're just not the negotiator that I am there, Wes.
It's all good.
Wes haggled so well the price doubled.
And then
I'll show him.
I'll show that.
I'm paying you $100, not $1 less.
This little biscuit thing. It's from 1973, but it's a recipe box for shredded wheat. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Cool.
And then there's some other stuff in there, but that's kind of the gist.
Johnny, are you feeling left out? Or are you feeling envious? What's going on with you? Because I sense something with you.
I was just thinking if there was anything exciting I had thrifted to share.
Didn't you just get back from a thrifting trip to somewhere?
Yeah, we road tripped up to Baltimore to see an Orioles game and thrifted on the way up and then thrifted back down. But we didn't really find a ton. We thrift different when we're not home. Like if it's something common that we know we could get at home, we don't necessarily buy it when we're out. We kind of look for like higher end stuff, I guess.
What did you find? Did you find anything of note?
We found a bunch of we stopped at 3 different bins. We went to the bins in Baltimore, which were terrible. We went to the bins in Delaware, which were fine. And then on the way home, we stopped at a bins in Virginia that is typically on Sundays is 100% hard goods, but they happen to have some closed bins. So I found like a vintage Barack Obama shirt that still had the tags on it that go for like $75. And then we found a bunch of like military, like raincoats and parka jackets that actually do pretty well for us as long as they're not camo.
So what year was the Barack Obama shirt from?
So I didn't see a date on it, but when I found some of them online, they were like 09. So not quite vintage, but you could at least sneak in Y2K a little bit. But it's tough because like even when you have your own car, like you don't want to just buy things for the sake of buying things. But yet sometimes you feel like if you don't, like you wasted your time a little bit. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like you can easily make mistakes then because you're like, well, we're all the way out here and we didn't find anything, so we'll just get it.
Yeah, I'm hoping to thrift a little bit with my daughter when we're coming back from Oregon the first week in August. And she's moving back home, so I'm flying out there, and I'm going to drive home with her. She lives in Vancouver, Washington, but we're going to drive to Bend and start our trip home in Bend. So figure if I do a little thrifting on the way back, I can expense It's
He's going to
expensive.
be on the Oregon Franklin Hill Ventures Trail.
Oh man, I hope they don't get dysentery. We'll be praying for you.
Stagecoach all the way home.
Yeah, the winters can be really tough. I know.
Hopefully, you don't have to go all Donner family.
Yeah, our mule won't die or something.
Well, I feel like you'll hit like a sweet spot in just the Midwest where you'll probably find some good stuff. If we're just going off of stereotypes.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly our route. I know we'll be in Nebraska at some point. I know we'll be in St. Louis at some point. I'm really not sure. She mapped out the entire route and got all the Airbnbs and hotels we're staying in. So it'll just be me and her and her dog. So it's not me and you and a dog named Boo, but it's a dog named Olive. So
does she have interest in any of what you do?
I mean, she used to go to the auctions with me when she was little, and then she got tired of it. And I mean, all my kids like going to thrift shops to get stuff for themselves. They don't really do the reselling. Although Rosie does sell stuff on Poshmark. She was selling when she graduated from college. She was selling a lot of her clothes that way, just one-offs here and there. And because she was out there or she was down in Alabama, so she'd message me the label so I could, and go, it's in the second drawer down, and so that's funny. That's what I used to do with Amy when I used to travel. When I was working a real job and traveling all the time, I would sell stuff, and I mean, I had no organizational system back then, and invariably when I would go out of town, I'd sell 3 times as much as I normally would, and so I'd have to get on the phone with Amy. Can you find the so and so, and where is it? It's what's in the corner underneath. So then she did help me set up an inventory system. She goes, if I'm gonna ship this stuff out, I got to know where it is.
It is nice, like even if you do it begrudgingly, like it is nice when everything's like organized.
What about you, Wes? Found anything cool lately? I heard you had a pretty good Beanie Baby sale in a parking lot somewhere.
I did. Wow, that little short has done pretty well for us, Stewart.
It has. That was fun. I was telling somebody the other day that I have a stroke of comedic genius like every 4 years. It's funny. So when we were going to meet, I call Wes. I go, Wes, I got this great idea for a video, and kind of we ran, and it came out for me. It came across perfectly, I thought.
Yeah. It's like it's up to 922 views, I think, or something like that.
That's on YouTube. And then I think on my Instagram reels, it ended up doing about 2,000.
Oh, did it?
Which it's funny how certain reels, like I don't do a lot of reels, but I had my biggest reel ever did like 18,000, and it was just simply me it was at the 129 yard sale last year, in fact. And there was an old telephone, like an old antique telephone, and I picked it up and just dialed my number where I said, hey, does anybody remember their home phone number when they were a kid? I was like, I do. And then dialed it on that phone. And that was the extent of it. And it got all kind of engagement. Then my second most viewed reel was a video of a hawk I shot being attacked by a mockingbird. So,
that's kind of cool though.
It got all the bird. I like hashtagged it, bird lover or something, and it got all those bird lover views.
I've actually thought
about one involves Rick Springfield. My wife is a big Rick Springfield fan, and so over the TVA fair, a friend of mine, he was working security, but we had bought tickets to get in. He said, I'm going to take care of you all. And I was like, I didn't really know what that meant. Right before the show, he comes down there and he goes, hey, I got you 2 seats down here on the front row. So we went down there, and I had my camera with me. So he'd walk over close to us, and then he'd turn away. And I kept turning around. It took me like 20 tries to get it. And finally, he walked up behind us and smiled. And I've got that. So I put that up on my Instagram. My wife's just like going crazy. It's pretty funny.
Did he wish he had Wesley's girl?
Probably. Probably.
I thought about starting just a side project of just filming my bird feeder outside. Like the amount of views, like I don't know if you guys have ever seen these before, but these like bird watching videos. where people just set up a GoPro or whatever on their bird feeder and the birds fly in and out and they get like thousands, if not millions of views. And I'm like, I need to tap into these birds in the backyard. And
I've got something like that too, Johnny. We need to go ahead and just set it up on our camera. I'm going to start putting them on here in the Finder Flippers. So when we have that downtime in between our podcast, we'll just put birds up here.
I like it.
Enjoy the view.
Yeah, my Christmas, like officially, one official sign you're getting old is when for your main Christmas present, your kids give you a bird feeder with a camera built into it. So,
those are amazing.
It is. That's very cool. So.
It is very cool.
It does just come on you at some point where birds just become cool and you realize that it's over at that point.
Yes. Speaking of birds, yesterday, Amy texted me. She's like, come up here, but be really quiet. And I'm like, okay, let's, go through the living room. Don't come through the den. And there were 2 hawks sitting on our deck right outside our bay window. I mean, just sitting there. And, of course, as soon as I walked in the kitchen, one flew off. So Amy got mad at me, but
you were kind of set up for that. You were set up for failure.
I mean, it was just time. It was tired of sitting there, I'm sure. So
Stewart, are you going to go to more estate sales tomorrow, Friday, Saturday? What are you going to do from?
I haven't even looked to see what there is tomorrow as far as any yard sales, like if there's any starting on Thursday or not. It's a Wednesday, everyone, that we're recording this. So I do have an appointment Friday with an estate sale, and I'll probably get up and go yard selling on Friday as well. So I'm hoping, unless it rains, there is a pretty good chance of rain, I think, Friday.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I actually haven't been out yard selling in a couple of weeks. It's either been rainy or just I've had some.
Too hot.
Yeah, it's been there really haven't been that many yard sales this summer compared to, and I think the heat has a lot to do with it.
I think so
it's
too.
Just so hot, and
that means look forward to this fall. There may be a lot of them going on when the heat breaks.
That thing you guys went to today, is that like a typical Wednesday?
No,
I mean, we don't have anything on Wednesdays ever.
No, they don't usually. The story I was told with this house is somebody inherited it. I mean, it was really just too full of stuff to do in traditional like tag type estate sale. And so, they just came up. They had never really even done this kind of sale before that I know of. But I think it was one of those where they weren't responsible for cleaning the house out or anything. The person just wanted them to sell as much stuff as possible and wasn't, and I guess they'll get rid of everything else on their own. So no, it's not a typical Wednesday thing. Yeah, there's not usually anything on Wednesdays. Now, a lot of, there will be some yard sales on Thursdays sometime if you look, but mostly Friday, Saturday.
Well, there was all kinds of garbage bags too, Johnny. Stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it had plush everywhere, and it was just. It can stress you out if you let it. It can, but man,
it's overwhelming.
It's very overwhelming, and there was, Stewart, there was a lot of people there.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was not near as overwhelming as it was the first round.
I can imagine. Up and down that road, it was just cars everywhere. I had to park like 5 or 6 houses away at the stop sign.
So, Stewart, is it pretty competitive for you? Like, is there a lot of people in your guys' area that do what you do with the ephemera?
It's funny. I find when I go to estate sales, and I really just go to the one particular company mostly. I go to some others. I mean, I can go late in the afternoon and I'll usually still find stuff. I mean, I've noticed doesn't seem like a lot of people are looking for ephemera type stuff. And then certainly not that many people are looking at China. And I find a lot of China and then collectible type plates because, those things are always priced dirt cheap. And I have a lot of luck selling the collectible souvenir plates, especially, and I've talked about it before, okay. The state ones that have all the landmarks of the state on them, or if they're ones commemorating a church. I mean, if you can get those for $1, I usually sell those for 10 to 12, and they almost always go back to the city where the whatever, whether it's a church or a courthouse or whatever. And it's pretty cool when you think about, hey, I sold this and it's going back to where it came from. So yeah, I mean, for certain things, yeah, it's competitive. I mean, there's certain things everybody's looking for, and you just got to be lucky. Like vinyl records are a good example of that. If I don't get an early appointment, or if it's one without appointments, if I don't get there early to get in line, all the good vinyl's gone. But other things, it doesn't seem to really matter what time I get there.
Yeah. I guess this would be a good time to give not little, but Papergoy a shout out from the $1 Million Peddlers for joining us last week.
That was a good discussion on all things ephemera and whatnot, specifically. Thanks to him for coming on. Next time we'll have to get the Mr. Magazine on. So he had some hokey excuse about his kid was doing some kind of needed to get a scholarship or something.
Something for his future. I don't know.
Yeah. How do you film at the thrift shops with your phone?
Yeah, if we do. So if we're at the bins, then I'll put on the GoPro and have it on like with the chest mount. And then if we're like my lunch breaks or whatever is all just phone. But we don't record like everything. Like if we find something and then we'll go back and record us finding it.
Yeah. Oh, the secret's out. It's not just
That's it. That's it, guys.
I don't think I can ever watch one of your videos again, Johnny.
It's all staged. Those aren't even real Goodwill employees.
Here,
we come with a bag of stuff and we place it.
Like the storage war guys, they always say that they speed all that stuff or Pawn Stars. Or
I always laugh when people are like, "Oh, that stuff's staged." Like, yeah, we came into Goodwill with stuff and was like, "Hey, we're gonna put this on the racks, find it, and then we're gonna leave, but we're not paying for it because it's ours." And Goodwill's like, "Yeah, you can do that, no problem." Thanks.
I did see an interview with one of the Storage Wars guys. I can't remember which one it was, but they were asking him about it being staged, and he said, "No, it's not staged." He said, "But you don't realize how much film's done of all these different storage units that get bought to." He said there's a lot of crappy ones that, you never see. So he said, I guess from that standpoint, it's edited to look like everything we find's great. But he said, it's a legit auction company doing it. And he said that would, be basically illegal to do. So, I guess he's telling the truth. I know the Dave guy who was on Storage Wars, he came out and said it was staged at one point and they kicked him off the show, and then he came back later. So I don't know. But
I guess the film company could buy ahead of time. I don't know, but I used to watch some of those shows. I feel like they kind of ran their course. I don't ever watch them anymore. I don't even know if they're still that popular. Like, it used to be everybody watched Pawn Stars and Storage Wars, and there were a couple others too, but.
Well, now it's everybody wants to watch the Finders Flippers Resell podcast. See?
That's true.
Right. I remember being in Vegas and going to where they filmed, thinking it was going to be super cool. And it was literally like a museum with when you're at a theme park and they have the ropes to walk people around. It literally was set up so you just walked it. And then you walked out and you're like,
You didn't try to pawn a watch while you were there?
I was like, I have this Babe Ruth. I just signed it in the parking lot.
No, you got the Honus Wagner that Papergoy.
Yeah. That's another show that, they talked to somebody who was on it, and they said, you basically submit an application for your item, and if they pick you, then they kind of stage the whole thing about you coming in. It's not like you just randomly walk in with, some item and they see. Those guys are never even at the store anymore.
Well, I love that
everybody in Vegas has got all this magnificent stuff that's coming in. It doesn't make sense.
Well, then they're always like, "Oh, my buddy's a Star Wars expert. Let me get him over here." Like this guy's just sitting around waiting for a phone call in the parking lot.
Or the amount of and I'm sure the Rick guy's very smart, but I mean, anybody can bring any random thing in, and he can immediately spout off every bit of history and details. So he's done a little pre-research there.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Stewart, have you bought storage units at all before?
No, I have not. And Amy and I have talked about maybe trying to do a small one. Like, our problem is, we don't have a truck. And, so you've got to I know you've got to have those cleaned out typically within 24 to 48 hours. You got to clean every last thing out.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also don't have a lot of storage, so pretty much anything we bought would be multiple trips, and we would have to put it in the garage or get a storage unit, which, I don't want that expense really. But we've talked about maybe bidding on one of the little small, like 3x5s, I think are the smallest units they have, and just kind of see what we get. Now, my brother, who used to be the full-time reseller, he did a storage auction one time and bought it because he saw some like video games, and that was one of the things he dealt in at the time. So he won this, and I don't know how much he paid, but he said he went in there and the video games were in there, but he said it looked like somebody had been evicted from their apartment and just like dumped everything, including all the food, into this storage unit. He said, so it was just basically rat turds everywhere and like, remnants of food and boxes that had been chewed through. So, and so he went and told him, he said, this is a health hazard, and blah, blah, blah. And they said, well, you agreed to clean it out. And he basically walked away and, I guess got put on their, do not allow to ever come back list. But he said
C-32 is getting cleaned out today.
Yeah.
Going away.
So that was his experience. But, I know a lot of people do really well with them.
Are you thinking about doing one, Johnny?
We've talked about it for a while. To Stewart's point, like, we don't have the space for it, but we are like very highly intrigued by it. I think even less than the storage, because we just throw it in the house somewhere. I just imagine the person coming back while I'm emptying it and me just crying and giving them all their stuff back.
But I mean, you think about like some of these shows, Storage Wars, and you see all these things. It begs the question: Do you think that you're going to find that really good storage unit? You know what I mean? Or are you going to run across what?
So I guess the goal would be to do it once and have it suck, and then go, okay, I'm never doing that again. Right. Like, worst case scenario, you find like a Grail or something in there, and you're like, great, I got to buy more of these things. And then all of a sudden you're in a hoarder situation because you can't stop buying storage units.
I know there's a couple of big YouTubers, and that's all they do is storage units. And I think it's Wade Storage Treasures. If he's one. I know he films them getting them. Then I think he auctions stuff off real time, and he's done really well. And then there's I can't remember the full name of the channel, but it's a guy named Jeebus, like Jeebus, I think. And he does all storage units. That's just two. To be honest, I haven't really ever watched any of their videos other than just kind of in passing, but I just know those are two of the bigger ones that are out there. No, next week we have John from Popeye's Postcard Zone, and that should be a really good guest. I know Wes specifically had questions about postcards for David that he couldn't answer. So Popeye will be your guy. But yeah, he has so many postcards. I know he does really well and whatnot. I mean, I've heard, just people in the postcard world talking about him. I mean, he's big time, millions and millions of postcards. But yeah, he's very entertaining, and he's an overall good guy too. So that should be a fun show, and that should be next week.
I was able to walk away today. I left those two things sitting on the table, and I felt really good about it. 2 years ago, I wouldn't have done that. I'd have bought them and said, "Oh yes, sir, $25. That sounds great." Off I go.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's part of the learning curve and things you run into, and you just got to have that ability to walk away sometimes,
Well, I feel like we talked about this before too, like something like Coca-Cola. Like you want it to be valuable. So you're like, oh, old Coca-Cola, like it's got to be worth money. And it's like, not just because it's old doesn't necessarily mean it's worth money.
Well, I had other intentions for it. I was going to put my games that I'm selling, video games, I was going to put them in that box. That's the only intention. I really didn't have an intention of selling it, or I was not that enamored with Coca-Cola. It just.
But if you could just go on eBay and order one for cheaper like that, then that would have been silly to overpay for it.
Right. Yeah, the learning curve is, and we're all on that learning curve. If you're not learning something new every day, then I think you're just, you're stagnant. You're not growing at all.
Well, you're like learning new stuff, and then what you knew previously changed because markets change and values change, and things like that. So it's like even the old stuff you still have to keep up on.
That's where things change so quickly, and you've got to keep up with all these trends, and who's going to be in the next Marvel movie, and who's wearing this shirt. And I remember at one of the conferences I went to, these two kids who, they sold vintage T-shirts, and their business just really took off. And they had hired somebody whose full-time job was to watch Twitter, Instagram, all those, and look for what celebrities were wearing. And they would base a lot of what they sold on that. So I guess it's kind of like the stock market in that respect. But
one of y'all mentioned this too. If it was a Dr. Pepper box,
yeah, Stewart said that. Yeah,
Stewart. That may have been different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, in general, there's just less Dr. Pepper, RC, those kind of things than there is Coke. In the Coke crates you looked at today, I don't think it was that old either. And that's, what, 25 is not a terrible price for it. That's probably retail, but yeah, for what you were going to use it for.
Yeah.
And if you were going to resell it, there certainly wouldn't have been any money in it.
Johnny, since we have Stewart here as, knowledge for us as far as ephemera is concerned, and we've talked to Paperboy now a couple of times. Have you even considered looking at ephemera stuff when you go to garage sales, or have you seen any at all?
No. You know what? I think it's always cool. And when we go to like estate sales and see those stacks of old magazines and stuff, I'll flip through and look for specific content to see if it was like an event or something like that versus just a random issue. But I don't know, any of that stuff that we've had, I don't think we do it enough, at least with the paper, portion of it versus maybe the hard goods or the China of it. Because I don't know, I worry that I end up with like 1,000 old photographs of people. And I think it would be different. I think, yes, if we had a booth, if we had a desire to open a booth, like that would be kind of where we would go with it. I just don't know, being like eBay sellers, us going that route.
Yeah, and I do okay with the ephemera in the booth, but I do sell most of it online. I like it because it's easy to ship.
Well, but Stewart, don't you do most of yours on Whatnot?
No, I've really moved away from Whatnot. I don't do near as many shows as I used to. I don't know. Like I sold these stock certificates on eBay today, and then so I've sold several ephemera items. Here's like a little cereal box that I sold on eBay, I think, as well, and then the stereo view cards. That was actually a really good sale, $75 for those. Those were on eBay as well. Yeah, and I don't, the marriage license, I probably would need to take it out of the frame unless I decide to put it. I may put it at the booth and hang it at the booth for a month or two and see if it sells out there.
Yeah.
Just so I don't, because it is framed nicely.
Yeah, it's cool.
But it's going to make the shipping more than the certificate's worth.
Well, I learned from Stewart a couple of shows ago that I can't ship the vintage matches that I bought, hoping to sell and then ship. So I'm glad that Stewart stopped me from committing any kind of postal fraud.
In a booth, Stewart?
Yeah, you can sell them in a booth, or you just can't. I mean, and I think you can ship them. You just got to label them correctly. And I say that since I can't remember if you can ship matches at all. But I mean, now people who collect matchbooks, they know that, and you can take the matches out, and you'll still sell the matchbooks. But
yeah, Stewart, Johnny, just go get you a booth and get you a table and just set matches right there on top of it. That's all.
Yeah. Well, anything like that I sell, I'll sell under the name Franklin Hill Ventures, so that way I don't get in trouble for anything.
Yeah. You just gave me an idea. Maybe I'll franchise that.
There we go. Wes, are you feeling better? It's an hour later.
I am
feeling better.
Hey, Johnny, if you are interested in franchising an FHV location, though, I'll need a year's worth of financials. So,
Stewart's always forward thinking. I did sell a record today, Elvis Presley's Greatest Hits Volume 3.
Ooh,
$20. So,
oh wow, that's a good sell.
Here you go.
Oh yeah. What are some of the hits on Volume 3?
Let me see here. It's Now or Never.
Oh, good one.
It's Now or Never. Stuck on You. Fame and Fortune. That's a good one.
I don't know that one.
Fame and Fortune. You never heard that?
That didn't help.
Oh, MTV.
All you're doing is singing the title of the song.
No, I just said how empty they can be. But when I hold you in my arms, that's heaven to me. I know it. It's Fame and Fortune.
Falling in love over here, Wes. Careful.
I got to go to the glasses.
We can only show Wes from the waist up.
Are You Lonesome Tonight?
Oh, that's a good one.
Little Sister. You know that one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is that the Don't You Do What Your Big Sister
Yeah, Little Sister, Don't You
Do? Dwight Yoakam did a cover of that, right?
Yeah,
he did. Yeah. That's what I was thinking of.
Good Luck Charm. She's Not You. So, yeah. There you go. $20 today.
No,
Had it for about a week.
And things of that nature.
Stewart, do you need to blow the whistle to get you in sync? Stewart, pretend you're West calling traveling.
What was that? Not making pizza dough. Just give it one or two.
You look like you're like a part of the entertainment of a cruise club, or like you're on a cruise or something.
Well, that is all the time that we have this evening on the Finders Flippers Resell podcast. Gentlemen, again, it was another fun hour to join with you all on this podcast.
Yeah, thanks again to everybody for watching. As Johnny said, we're almost 100 subscribers. Looking forward to going live once we hit that. Don't forget, we got Popeye's postcards coming up next week, and everybody have a great week.
Bye, guys.
See you guys. Have a great one.